So now we're back in that position where how do you start a podcast?
That's exactly how you start a podcast right there.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So season 3 of The Mandalorian's coming out.
Yeah, 2
And
days.
yeah, it's not crazy, man. I feel like when the first season came out, even when the second season came out, I was like counting down the days, man. Like and all of a sudden this has snuck up on me. Like this is the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, time is funny. So how long has it actually been since season 2 ended? Because I know we got Book of Boba Fett in between, which kind of
Yeah,
felt Mando-ish, you know?
yeah. Well, it certainly felt Mando-ish. It was like Mando 2.5. Let me
True.
just look. I think it was like fall of 2021. Um, yeah, October 30th of no, that can't be right. Has it been two? No, yeah, it's been 2 years. That's what it's saying.
No way. That's crazy. Hold up. Let me fact check your facts.
Yeah,
I can confirm.
isn't that crazy?
2020,
That can't
2
be.
years. Wow.
Well, of course, like you said, like we had maybe it was last year that we had the Book of Boba Fett, which
Yeah.
was something. I don't think that there are a lot of people that argue that it was better than the Mandalorian. Though I'm sure that there are plenty of people out there who would say that it's the best Star Wars there is. They're kind of people who will you know think, believe everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been a long time. I figured we've been talking about this. What's something that we can do to sort of like lay out our theories for this next season and see if we can guess what's going to happen or even just lay out what we want to happen in the next season.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
we've got some questions we should kick off with. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
All right. So, first question: is Boba Fett going to be in season 3? Like, are we going to see him appear, just like we saw Mando appear in Book of Boba Fett?
Okay. So you're looking for my thoughts first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure now. Again, we talked about this before. There's probably nobody listening, but if you're listening, you might not know. Colin has kept himself behind a firewall with all of the previews and everything. So I actually think that there was a leak. There was like a toy leak or something that suggested that Boba Fett is going to be in this season, right?
I'm closing my ears.
So
I'm closing my ears.
yeah, yeah. Big spoiler there. Um, the beauty of doing these shows kind of in concert with each other is that they can cross promote, right? It's kind of brilliant of Disney to do that. Even not having been, I mean, like, I didn't hate Book of Boba Fett. I know a lot of people argued with the way they handled the character and changes in his personality and his goals and that sort of thing. Um, but I didn't hate it. It was all right. It was more Star Wars, and it helped tide me over a little from season 2 to season 3 of Mandalorian. But I guess what I'm thinking now is like, are they going to be buddies? Is he going to like? Is he just going to be like, I won't say sidekick because that seems insulting to Boba Fett, but like, is he going to be there the same way Cara Dune was, and the same way Grief Karga was, and even IG-11? He's had all these allies that were there when he needed them, and so I wonder if that's the part he's going to play now. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I think I would enjoy that thoroughly. I think in Book of Boba Fett, like when you see them, or when uh, Grogu is at one of the temples or something, kind of absorbing the Jedi powers, and you kind of see Boba Fett come with his like slave one and just kind of help out. Well, he was coming for the armor, but then started to help get them, buy some time for Grogu and stuff. And so just that kind of teaming up was really cool to see, and would love to see more of that, especially because Boba Fett is kind of this character who like blurs the line is like kind of like Han Solo a bit, but more so where it's like, is he good? Is he bad? Like he's kind of in that middle.
Yeah,
So it would be cool to
he's a
see more.
scoundrel.
Yeah, so it'd be cool to see more of
Yeah.
that with Mando. So
Yeah, you mentioned that they have sort of this. Well, it starts out like you mentioned on whatever Tython, I think that planet's called, where Grogu's reaching out for a Jedi Master, right?
yeah,
Um, and they kind of they come to this agreement where he gets his armor back and he's gonna help them figure this whole thing out. Like he's gonna help, Mando and potentially Grogu and everything. But since Grogu gets kidnapped, it ropes Boba Fett into helping longer and. But like there's this moment in the book of Boba Fett where they're like pinned down and like he's like there he's like I'm not he's like man like it looks really grim and Boba's like, so are you gonna take off too or something like that, and he was like, no, I'm in this, like I this is the creed, this is the way. And he's like, you really believe in that nonsense? And he goes like, I do. And he goes, good. Like, so there's this like moment of they're almost bonding and I'm like, yeah, I could see this, I could see that becoming like kind of brothers in arms. And I don't know. I think it's going to be cool.
yeah,
Whatever
I agree.
happens, I think hopefully it'll be good.
Let's talk about
So what's next?
Mandalore, the
Oh
return
my
to
gosh.
Mandalore.
So
Yeah,
I told you again, you haven't seen the previews and stuff, but it's all. I mean, like it's probably confirmed 100% now. I think they returned to Mandalore. The last thing we heard about it was Boba Fett saying that it had been turned to glass. Right, the Empire destroyed it. The siege of Mandalore and all the lore that been getting bits and pieces of how the Empire went after the Mandalorians. But I we really don't know how much of the planet's left and what condition it's really in. It's just sort of like rumors and stuff. But what we do know is that Din apparently has to go back there to like become a Mandalorian again because he was stripped of his like whatever title, his birthright. I don't know what you'd call it. When he he had to admit to the armorer and Paz Vizsla that he had taken his helmet off, and it was that or like get into a gunfight in the middle of an Imperial installation, right? So
hmm
he didn't seem to have a lot of choice, but that's not something that a religious zealot is going to be very understanding of. So she told him basically like, "You are a Mandalorian no longer, and the only thing that he can do to like atone for this sin is to go back to Mandalore and like I don't know, cleanse himself in the waters or something." I can't remember what the story was. But here, my big theory, and I don't know if it's going to happen now or in the distant future, is that a actual live mythosaur is going to be involved at some point, which is the symbol of the Mandalorians, and was referenced in the first season of the Mandalorian. And I think it could be really cool, and it just feels like you know uh, a great like whatever challenge to meet and that sort of thing for our hero. But I
there
don't know if
is a
that'll be now.
cool.
That might be years in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. If you Google Mythosaur, there's a cool, I think,
Yeah.
photoshopped version of Mando riding one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like I said, it seems inevitable, And I've told you I think that I've got my own theories. We can go into more in detail later, but I think that he's maybe even got a little bit of force sensitivity. And
yeah,
I don't know. You could sort of guess that about a lot of people. I have my own theories about Moff Gideon too, but for now, let's put a pause on that. What's next?
yeah, totally. Um, yeah, I think this is a kind of a short and sweet one, but I think a lot of people are wondering this. Like, are they going to explain Cara Dune's character? Like, obviously, there was some stuff that happened in real life with her character, the actress, and Disney and stuff. And so, are we going to get some sort of explanation within the story if she, has gone away on a different mission or something?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, I think that's all we can do is guess. We know that Gina Carano is essentially out, and it kind of breaks my heart because Cara Dune was like my favorite character. I thought she was awesome.
Yeah, she was.
I could go on and on. I'm not like a huge feminist or anything, but like I think that she is like the picture of like feminine strength. I'm like that. I mean, like she is. She is this like gorgeous warrior who's like you know built like a warrior is. I mean, she was a whatever, she was like UFC Ultimate Fighter, right? So like
Mhm.
she's actually got the muscles. Like when she throws Din over her shoulder or drags somebody across the room, she was actually doing it. Man, it breaks my heart that she's not going to be in the show anymore. But
Yeah.
all that is to say, my guess is pretty much what they'll do is they'll say like, oh, she's she joined the New Republic in like chasing down some warlord on another planet. Like Grief Karga will basically be like, oh, don't worry about her. Like let's talk about whatever's happening now. All that is to say, I hope I hope that there's some like reconnection and that they can work her character back in someday, but it'll take some doing.
I'm personally skeptical on that. I don't think it'll ever
Yeah,
happen, but it would be cool.
it's unlikely.
Um, so, not speaking of another character
Yeah.
that is very beloved in the Star Wars universe, do we think we're going to get some more Grogu and Luke Skywalker interaction, or just Luke Skywalker in general?
Well, it's hard for me to imagine that Grogu and Luke will never train together again. I mean, one of the things that Luke even said when they first met was that he'll never be safe until he learns to master his power, right? And so, like, how is he going to master his power without a Jedi teaching him, training him?
Yeah,
Um, Also, I love Luke Skywalker. I mean, very, very certainly my favorite Star Wars character. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to think that they would never bring him back. But they did such a good job this last time. There's part of me that almost wishes that like they wouldn't mess with it. They wouldn't risk messing it up again. Um, all that is to
I
say, I would be surprised if he wasn't in it at all in the next season or two. Yeah,
I think so. Okay, I have a business oriented answer. if
yeah,
it's if they can if it's affordable and scalable for them to do deepfake,
yeah.
then they will bring him back more often. Because it's much easier now because they don't have to worry forever about an actor aging, right? Because they
Yeah.
can bring him back at any point, and there's no time
Well, as,
there.
as long as long as he's not dead. Yeah, I mean um, Mark Hamill still voiced the character and that sort of thing. They had to do some de aging, I'm sure, but
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of AI right now that simulates people's voices like pretty closely, which is crazy and scary at the same time. So
yeah, it's certainly
all
it's
I have
certainly
to
possible. I don't know if they would, but yeah,
all I have to say is I hope it keeps getting better because I do want to see more of my favorite version of Luke Skywalker. Return of the Jedi Luke is by far my favorite.
dressed in
Um,
black. Yeah,
Dressed in all black, just like with the green lightsaber, and I just love that hilt. Um,
yeah, man.
so I want that to happen so that he can come make more appearances. But I would even go as far as to say is as technology evolves, I would love to see either like a full show or something where he's like heavily involved. Maybe that's Ahsoka, maybe that's not. But I think if
Yeah,
it gets so perfect and we can't even be like, oh, that doesn't look real. They could do a
right.
whole show on all the stories that happens between episode uh, 6 and then obviously the sequel up to the sequel.
Right. Yeah, man, I'd love that. I'd watch every second of that. But I would say with similar skepticism as you had on the Gina Carano thing, I would be a little surprised if he became a full time character. As much as I'd
Yeah.
love it, I don't think they'll do it. All right, what's next?
Uh, yeah. So two big characters that are really relevant, prevalent in season 1, season 2 is Dr. Pershing and Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
We can talk about them separately, but obviously they're working together, so it's we think about them as one. Uh, yeah, I mean we see at the end of season 2, uh, Cara Dune kind of knock Moff Gideon out, and we assume he's captured, by
Yeah.
Mando and the crew, and so what are your thoughts on what's going to happen in season 3 to him?
Yeah. So what we know was part of the deal with all of this was that Cara Dune had been guaranteed that she could take Moff Gideon to the New Republic. So presumably he's gone off to a New Republic prison or something. It's a little hard to say for sure, obviously. Dr. Pershing, we actually don't. I don't remember what happens. All I remember is they capture the Imperial shuttle, and they take him prisoner. I assume that he then just, I don't know. Maybe it's never revealed to anybody that maybe it's never revealed to anybody that he had like revealed information. Maybe he ended up back with the Empire. I don't know. Did they kill everybody on Gideon's light cruiser? I guess they had to have. I don't know. But my guess is he probably is doing time, or like he worked out a deal and he's working for the rebellion now. I didn't get the impression that he was the Imperial to the core, like bad guy. Um, he certainly was trying to protect Grogu and everything. So
Yeah,
who the heck knows? It'd be cool. It'd be cool if he comes back around, and certainly that leads to another question about what were they doing with Grogu's DNA, with his they talked about the M count, which obviously is a midichlorian reference, So, like, what are they doing with his, like, intense Jedi blood? Are they trying to make regular people into Jedis? Does Moff Gideon have a little in there? Which is one of my going theories.
that is yeah, that's very interesting. I think because Dr. there was, there was some connection between what Dr. Pershing was wearing on his vest or jacket or outfit, his
Right.
scientist robes. Uh, he had a patch from the same patch of the kids in the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
that they wore as well.
On
So I
Camino.
think on Camino, and so I think
Yeah.
there's a pretty, I think obvious connection that they're trying to make clones out of Jedi's or with the
Yeah.
midichlorian count,
Yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
crazy.
Absolutely. But it seems like if it were possible, why wouldn't they be doing that? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
just have like a suite of just superpower. I mean, like the Empire's always struggled with, uh, their army, if you will, like at least
they have
clones and
great numbers.
stormtroopers. Yeah,
Yeah, they got great
exactly.
numbers, but they're not always like the most reliable in a pinch, right? They're kind of the whole joke about stormtroopers and aim and all that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That would really that would the stakes would be much higher, which could be really interesting. I hope what could be really cool is that somehow ties into like a movie series or a saga where like the stakes are higher in a I think for a TV show it's cool like that they're talking and referencing and trying to make it happen, but I think it'd be specifically if they actually were successful with making these like super powered
Yeah.
clones or whatever, that made it onto the big screen.
There's also always the chance that this cloning connects to Snoke and Emperor Palpatine. Spoiler alert, a little late there.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, but the Rise of Skywalker, the crazy big reveal, of course, was that Emperor Palpatine was still alive, and that allegedly the Snokes, and you saw more of them in like vats and stuff, were like clones of him that I don't. I never fully understood. It seems silly to me, but it could always be that this is an attempt to connect, the original trilogy to the sequel trilogy. There, um, I would be a little disappointed. I think if that's all it was, but like it would also be logical, that
Yeah.
Gideon is somehow in secret working with zombie Palpatine.
Yeah, I think let's definitely let's put a pin in that because I think we could have a whole conversation on like
Yeah, man.
Disney's strategy going forward of how they going to connect the sequels, are they going to abandon it? There's a whole bunch of
Yeah,
conversation around that that would be fun to get into.
yeah.
Um, so we also saw in season one and season two. Actually, I think it was just season two. Or no, it was season one. Sorry, you're going to correct me. Uh, but our beloved character Ahsoka, she was a
Yeah,
pretty big role.
season two.
Season two.
Yeah, and you and I talked the other day about how much we loved her performance, Rosario
Yeah.
Dawson. Um, just in my mind, I was really impressed with it, and for a big fan favorite character, of course outside of the feature films, but huge fan favorite character for anybody who watched the Clone Wars and even Rebels and everything. It was really cool to see her in there, and of course, she being not technically a Jedi, didn't feel like she could take on the training. And she cited his whole connection with Grogu. They're like, their love, their attachment to each other made it dangerous. And she even referenced, quietly Anakin Skywalker and his attachments and what that led to, right? So anyway, I think you know it's really smart of Disney to do these cross promotion things, right? So there's this new Ahsoka show coming. It's like I will be very surprised if she's not in this if she's not in the season at least once.
Yeah.
It'll be some other bit of like relating her to her new show and her goals and everything. And of course, the assumption is that she's tracking down Grand Admiral Thrawn still, as she referenced in the episode that she was in
I think,
season 2.
yeah. So I think this is gonna be my
Yeah, let's
bet.
hear it.
I think they're gonna do a post credit scene of Thrawn, and that's gonna be the tie-in to Ahsoka.
All
That'd
right,
be a huge
we
reveal.
we got to
But
do an episode about Thrawn and Rebels and everything, because he is such a good bad guy.
yeah, he's awesome.
And he has his roots in like what was Legends and stuff, right? So like the old
Yep.
books and everything, that this brilliant master strategist and this sort of like ruthless, cunning, character. Very, very interesting. And I've seen a lot of, and maybe we should do this another day, but the different actors that I've seen propose to play him, I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. Anyway, but that's an interesting thought. All right, what's next?
We should bet on it though. Like I don't know, like $5 Annie.
Sure, we'll do a thing, right? What's next on the list though? We gotta keep moving.
Yep. Okay, we got two more questions or two more, I guess.
Yeah.
We got topics, questions, whatever you want to call them. But I'll save the best for last because I think it's the
Yeah.
more interesting. But Migs Mayfield, we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So another performance. I'll be the first to admit, I didn't love the first time watching. I didn't love the episode of Miggs and I can't remember the other characters, but his old like criminal crew. Like he meets
Oh,
up with Ran is the like head honcho guy, and they do their little raid on the New Republic prison ship. I wasn't at first a big fan of it, mostly because I felt like they tried to make the Twilight girl, and I can't remember what her name is, but they tried to make her basically Harley Quinn, right? It was like it was like she was supposed to be doing the Suicide Squad. I was like, it was just annoying. The big guy, again, I can't remember his name. I just like, part of the problem is, and this is no insult meant to any actors out there or anything, but they showed at the end of at the end of each episode, they show the concept art for these, and I was like, those characters were awesome. And then you see them in real life, and I was like, I don't. It's just not as good. I'm a real
yeah.
sucker for that. Anyway, all that is to say, it wasn't my favorite episode like to begin with, but like I've really warmed up to it over time. And his character in particular, I thought like, you know what? Like I don't hate this guy, and the whole like a lot of heroes in Star Wars that are just kind of like just on the verge of turning back into good guys. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people in that position. The Landos and Han Solos and um, yeah, I don't know. I think that there's certainly room for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he doesn't show up again someday. He might not be in this season, but one of the things that we've proved is that that they've proved in their writing is that like it's fun when the team gets back together. When he brings Queel back in, and you see the big things that they ride, the big
Bam.
piranha lizards,
Oh, okay.
the blurg. Yeah, when
Blur,
he's
yeah.
when the blurg come out, and like IG-11's in the gang now and all this sort of stuff like that. First, like when that happened, and then later on when it's like, all right, we're gonna get Bo-Katan and her people, and we're gonna get Gina Carano, and we're gonna get you know Grief Karga and all these different people in, and we're gonna do this like big raid thing. I love that stuff. So I would be surprised if he's not involved again at some point like that, maybe in a similar fashion to the way Boba Fett. Who knows?
Man,
I
it'd
don't
be
want to just assume that
sweet.
they're going to do the same tropes over and over and over again. But I'd be
It'd be
surprised if he's
sweet.
not back someday.
Yeah, man, it would be sweet if like you made me think of this when you're like getting the band back together and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
if the theories. I mean, again, I haven't seen any of the previews or anything, but if those signs point to like they're gonna go back to Mandalore and stuff, like
yeah,
how cool would it be to get like kind of like an Avengers Endgame type battle where it's like they bring the band back together and they're like there's some sort of big two
yeah. Big
sided,
epic. Sure.
yeah, and then in the midst of that battle, we see Bo-Katan, Mando, and Paz Vizsla battling for the dark saber.
Yeah, man. So that's the big reveal, right? That's the big one to talk about. Is
Yeah.
who the heck is going to end up with the dark saber at the end of the end of the season? Sort of famously, um, he doesn't care about it, right? Din was like, I don't need this. You can have it.
No,
I just
he
wanted a
wanted to
kid.
give it. Yeah, he was going to
Yeah,
give it to Bo. Yeah.
but Bo knows, and she took it once before without having earned it, right? When uh, what's her name? The from Rebels, the
Oh,
Mandalorian in
Sabine.
Rebels, Sabine Wren. Yeah, when
Mhm.
Sabine gave it to her, you know, I mean, like at some point she lost it again. You know, maybe to Moff Gideon or whatever, right? Isn't that what
I
we
think
talked
it.
about recently?
I think it was yeah, or like it was. There was a battle. I
He
forget the name
stole
of the
it from her at
battle.
that
Yeah,
point or something. Yeah, we don't know
yeah,
exactly what happened, but yeah, it seems like somebody's going to fight him for it at some point. And you know, Bo Katan is like, it's clear how uncomfortable she was when she saw him with it at the end of season 2. Whether or not she's uncomfortable enough to try and take it from him, like fight him for it, you know, like clearly they've got like a mutual respect building, and they'd much rather be allies than enemies, you know. But is she going to like fall on one knee and follow him, or is she going to take it from him and who knows what happens to him then, you know? But yeah, it's a heck of a question. And then Paz Vizsla, it's the lightsaber came from his clan, right? So like, what's the guy? Was it Tar Vizsla? Is that what we were talking about?
yeah. It's his ancestor.
Is
Yeah,
Yeah, he's the one that was the first and only Mandalorian Jedi, right? So
yeah,
like, I think he feels like he's got a right to it. But he lost in a all out fight against Din for it, right? Just
yeah.
before Din finds out that he's no longer Mandalorian and has to leave. I don't know, man. A lot of
Man,
drama around that
yeah,
one.
yeah. There is a lot of drama, which is gonna cause for some fun scenes. I think. I
Yeah,
would be shocked if there's not a big battle of
yeah,
them three at some point, maybe towards the end. But
yeah. Well, I don't know if it's going to be all three of them. It in my mind, it's likely going to be. Excuse me. In my mind, it's likely going to be one or the other. You know,
yeah,
Din's going to have to fight somebody. I hope he learns to use it a little better. I feel like he was pretty clumsy with it last we saw him. I think it'd be pretty cool if Luke trained him, but that's just a dream. Anyway, any more thoughts, man?
no, I think that pretty much wraps it up. We're gonna be covering like a recap of each episode, so we're gonna be
Yeah.
watching every week and filming one of these pretty quickly after watching it, just when our memories are fresh with recently watching it, and yeah, so I guess tune in for more of those or these, I guess.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. And if you're watching this right now and the show hasn't come out yet, tell us what your own theories are. If there's something you think might happen or something you really want to happen, characters you want to see again, give us a shout.
Yep, that'd be awesome.
All right, man.